إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ما يهده الله فلا مضل له وما يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Verily, all the praise, and I glorify Him, and I magnify Him, Tabarak Ta'ala, and I bear witness that there is nothing worthy as an object, as a deity, as an ideology, except for Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and that the final messenger that came to guide mankind from the darkness into the light, ya Ikhwan, was Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My dear brothers, I was living in that darkness 30 years ago. I was a person who was astray, who was in the streets, who was living a life, ya Ikhwan, that I don't like to talk about. I grew up around a lot of my colleagues, my friends, and a lot of my relatives that are up until this day that are still running the streets in their late 50s, in their early 50s, and in their late 40s, ya Ikhwan, still doing all types of ma'asi. But for some reason, ya Ikhwan, Allah Azza wa Jalla put something into my heart that made me hate this darkness, ya Ikhwan. I was living in the world of darkness, and I hated it. I was looking for something, ya Ikhwan, because all that I seen around me was a dark lifestyle. Womanizing, drugs, gangs, violence. And at a very young age, ya Ikhwan, I went to a family barbecue, and I can remember some of my relatives that were supposed to be brothers and cousins, one to another, fight over cigarettes, fight over beer, and they would take out their knife and try to stab their brother, their cousin, their sister, their mother. This type of darkness, ya Ikhwan, at a young age, it had this horrible taste in my mouth. I did not want to be around this darkness, ya Ikhwan, and my soul was crying, looking for something better than this. As I knew from the fitrah, ya Ikhwan, that this darkness was not right. Ya Ikhwan, I grew up around darkness where I seen anger, racism, violence, jealousy, envy, deceit, lying, destroy my family, ya Ikhwan. Destroy my family. Making brothers hate each other, making cousins hate each other so much so that they're plotting to kill them or put hands on them. I grew up in this type of violence, ya Ikhwan, where Allah blessed me to have parents who were people who had a little bit better than some of our relatives, and they put me in lots of sports so I wouldn't get into trouble, so I wouldn't run the streets. I have seen personal suffering, abuse, selfishness, spiritual darkness, ya Ikhwan, destroy members of my family. I've seen people, ya Ikhwan, turn away from the light to look for some sort of solace in material luxury, physical sensation, intoxication, and other distractions, ya Ikhwan, my family, they're involved in. Only Allah's light, ya Ikhwan, He can defeat the darkness. The world can be a dark place that we live in if we look around, ya Ikhwan. War, greed, racial hatred, oppression, social ignorance. These are some of the forces of darkness, ya Ikhwan, that Allah has blessed me to be able to get away from. Islam has become my only way of life, ya Ikhwan, even though I still have some of that taint, some of that darkness still on me, ya Ikhwan. It's right there. As I talk to my non-Muslim relatives all the time, And they remind me of the days of Jahiliyyah, ya ikhwan, constantly. And I tried to shun that, and I said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. And this is the thing, ya ikhwan, that for someone like me, and like my brother here, sitting here, Abu Hafsa, we came from darknesses like this, ya ikhwan. But now the question comes, what about the Muslims that had hidayah, that had nur ala nur, that had the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And many of our youth and even the adults, as I got a phone call a few months ago from a mother, brother, can you come and help me talk to my kid? Inshallah, sister, once COVID gets done, inshallah, we'll try to spend some time. You know, how old is your son? Oh, my son, my child, he's 37 years of age. So the mother, she's in her 60s, calling her 37-year-old a child. I said, Auntie, I have one question before. Who washes the underwear of your son? I do. That's why he's still a child, ya ikhwan. 37 years of age and his mother still washes his underwear? Now those gotta be some real dark underwear, brothers, that you don't know how to clean them yourself, and your mother, she has to look after them. So brothers, when you go back and you look and you study our time that we're living in now, is it worse than the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Possibly, depending upon which lens you look through it. In the early generations before Islam, we find that there were people amongst those who embraced Islam before that, they buried their daughters, what is known as infanticide. They buried their daughters alive. Some of them, they kept personal tribal feuds for over 100 years over who owned the camel and who didn't own the camel. We found the Muslims of the past, before they became Muslim, and even after that, looting becoming what they call qat'a tariq adobe asabi, highway robbers. We found the Muslims drinking and gambling, and then they left that. And now the Muslims are back to drinking and gambling. And some of my relatives, they go to the casino, and they say, we see lots of Muslims there, drinking and gambling. Also, ya ikhwan, one of the most ignorant things, and I don't think anybody amongst us now is doing, showing the darkness then, is people would take a stone or a piece of wood and manufacture it into an idol. After manufacturing it, put it on the ground and then worship it. Darkness into light, ya ikhwan. As I, with my own eyes, have been to some of the Muslim countries before, ya ikhwan. Someone who came from Christianity, who was taught the love of Isa and Maryam. And then I left that particular understanding and I came and I worship Allah Azza wa Jal and followed the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I went to the lands where they brag about that the Muslims have the best Arabic and the best reciters of the Quran, and mashallah, if you want to learn Islam, go to the land of the Muslims. And when I went there, ya ikhwan, I met some good people, alhamdulillah, I met some scholars, alhamdulillah. But I went to a few masjids in this particular country, and I seen the Muslims put their head down on the ground and make sujood to someone who was in that grave. And there's a few of them. And I said, obviously these Muslims that know tajweed better than me, they don't, and they never understood Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in. This is the greatest darkness, ya ikhwan, shirk. My dear brothers, I could have came on a few different directions on this topic. And as you know, ya ikhwan, many of us, we need to study the religion. I really believe like the new Muslim studies the religion. Because all throughout the city, everybody's Sheikh al-Islam. Everybody, mashallah, they have 1,000 years of Islam in their family. But we need to go back to the basics, my dear brothers, and understand certain words, certain terminologies in the book of Allah. Maybe we don't know the intended meaning of what those words mean, ya ikhwan. And this is one of the things that we were taught from some of our sheikhs, is to go look at, and when you look at the Arabic language, and this is a side point, brothers, the istilahi meaning, the lughawi meaning, the urfi meaning, the majaz meaning, and the shar'i meaning. These are just different levels of an Arabic word. It can fit into any of those categories. So when you look up a word, you need to know the intended meaning of that word before you can understand it, ya ikhwan. And one of my sheikhs, and Abu Hafsa sheikhs, his name is Abu Ibrahim Sheikh Yilmaz, I sat with him one time, and there was a debate between some brothers on a fiqh issue. And the sheikh said, well, you guys really want to study this issue? They said, yeah, we want to study this issue, because we don't think, Sheikh, you know what you're talking about. And we happened to be sitting in a Muslim library in a masjid that has a really big library. And the Shaykh first, he started pulling down Arabic dictionaries first, about 5 or 6 of them, just to try to locate the meaning of this word and the different meanings of the word. Then he pulled out books on usul fiqh, books on tafsir, books on hadith, to try to understand the meaning, what was meant in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ as understood from the Muslims 1,000 years ago. That was just the meaning of the word. It took us an hour to look up the meaning of that word, ya ikhwan. Then we started to read what the scholars of Islam said that that word has to mean, based upon how the Arabs in those days understood it. Because now we have things twisted up, ya ikhwan. We have some khalal in our fahm, some misunderstanding in our understanding of Islam, and it has to do with us being lazy with seeking knowledge, my dear brothers. So, ya ikhwan, we want to talk about this word, dhulumat, darkness, ya ikhwan. I've been in darkness for 20 years of my life before Allah blessed me to embrace Islam. And I'm continually fighting my family, ya ikhwan, because they keep trying to put kufr and shirk and jahiliyyah, they keep pushing it to me, and I say, no thank you. Christmas time, no thank you. Halloween, no thank you. St. Valentine's, no thank you. Easter, no thank you. All these shirkiyat, ya ikhwan, they keep trying to invite me to come and spend time. It's just eating a little bit of food. It's just gathering with your family. But I know, ya ikhwan, studying this issue, that if I leave the door open a little bit, then I know that that toe will come in, and then it'll be a foot, and then it'll be a whole body, ya ikhwan, in and around me, trying to influence me and my brothers. So when we look at the tafsir of Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, he went on to say concerning the ayah, after I say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Surah Al-Baqarah, ya ikhwan, wa qala Allah ta'ala, yukhrijuhum min al-dhulumati ila an-nur. Allah ta'ala goes on to say, and He brings them out of darkness into light, my brothers. There was a time that I used to run downtown Toronto on Yonge Street, and also on, alhamdulillah, I'm forgetting the name of the street now. The district where they club. I can't even remember now. That's so good. I've deleted it. And I used to run there with my cousins and my friends Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 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 Watching my friends get drunk, get high, be with this girl, be with that girl, go to this party, go to that party. And then it came to a time, ya ikhwan, and I don't usually share my personal story, my brothers, where one of my friends who happens to be a DJ, and I grew up around 8 DJs. I used to say 7, but then I remember my uncle was my first DJ. 8 DJs, ya ikhwan. I listened to a lot of music growing up. And even when I wake up, sometimes I have what they call an earworm. I can hear music from the past. In my head, I hear the beats, ya ikhwan. I should be hearing Quran. So, ya ikhwan, one of my friends, he said to me, we're having a party for a girl on Monday night. So after spending time in the club Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, finally we went to a party on Monday, ya ikhwan. And spending all that time in the club, being in a state of confusion, ya ikhwan, there's so much music at high decibels, ya ikhwan. Sometimes, ya ikhwan, your equilibrium can go off. So while my friends were setting up for this girl's birthday party, I fell asleep for about 3 hours. And I went with my friend, I carried his records for him, and I used to hang out with him, we used to tell lots of jokes. And when I woke up, the place was packed with people. And I was a person, I never liked drugs, I never liked alcohol, but one thing, ya ikhwan, having an aql salim from the fitrah, was I did not like to have my guard down, where someone could stab me, someone could shoot me. When I woke up, I looked at this thing, I'm like, what is going on? I fell asleep, looked at my watch at that time, 2 hours, 3 hours had passed, and the people are dancing, and I'm sound asleep. Sleep deprivation, ya ikhwan. I looked at that situation, and a few months later, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. The Shaykh goes on to say, An-Nur, light has been mentioned in the singular form because the path towards truth is only one. There's only one truth. Whereas Al-Dhulumat, darkness, has been mentioned in the plural because of the many types. It could be the darkness of Jahil, the darkness of ignorance, and I'm ignorant. But there's a difference, ya ikhwan. We need to know what type of ignorant are we. Are we Jahil Basit, a little bit ignorant, or Jahil Murakkib, compounded ignorance? All of us are ignorant. None of us are Shaykh al-Islam. Also, ya ikhwan, the darkness of kufr. Now most of my family, most of them, they're not Muslim. So yes, they're in the state of kufr. But what about the Muslims who do acts of kufr and they don't even know? And they can have the best speaking Arabic, ya ikhwan. I've seen them mutqin bil lugha arabiyya, making all kinds of statements of shirk, actions of shirk. I've seen it, I've witnessed it with my own eyes. All of us need to get ourselves away from kufr and the darkness of ma'asi, of disobedience, ya ikhwan. Constantly, I find myself making tawbah because I find myself falling into sin, ya ikhwan, disobedience. And I don't think there's anybody from amongst us who doesn't sin at least a little bit. There has to be a sinner from amongst us, ya ikhwan. Because if we had a righteous man amongst the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he or she, they raise their hand, oh Allah, oh Allah, Ainul Makhraj min al-Fitan. Where is the way out, oh Allah, help us? I think Allah would answer that person's dua, ya ikhwan. But I think we have many sinners amongst us. But sinners can become winners, ya ikhwan, as they say, if they make something called tawbah. So, ya ikhwan, looking at this study, and I said I could have came from it from different ways. If we look at how Allah created His creation, ya ikhwan, notice how some creatures, they love the darkness. Some creatures, ya ikhwan, they love the darkness. Like the cockroach. When you turn on the light, the cockroach, he scatters. The rat, he likes the darkness. He does not like to be seen in the dark. The mole, ya ikhwan, lives deep under the ground. He does not like the darkness. Bats, ya ikhwan, they love the darkness. They do not like the light. And spiders, ya ikhwan, they hate the light too, ya ikhwan. If you look at all of these particular things, ya ikhwan, it is a negative connotation on what they are. A cockroach, a rat, a mole, a bat, a spider. And even in history, also as well as, ya ikhwan, popular TV, vampires come out in the night. And I grew up on a song, and my brother here, he might be the only one to get it, called The Freaks Come Out at Night. The bad, evil people that want to do dirt, they come out in the nighttime. Ya ikhwan, a couple years ago, I seen with my own eyes. We stayed up late in the night, in the month of Ramadan, in the last 10 nights. We wanted to go get a coffee. And our brother said, but there's also a place we can get some suhoor. So we went by this place, and there happened to be a particular place, and I'm going to call them out, called Shisha Licious, a Muslim hookah bar. At 3 o'clock in the night, Muslims are doing hookah in the last 10 nights of Ramadan, ya ikhwan. I seen this with my eyes. Sitting outside on the patio, smoking hookah. In the nighttime, during the last 10 nights of Ramadan. This is the state of our ummah, my brothers. وَقَالَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Allah, He is the light of the heavens and the earth. Later on in the ayah, Allah Ta'ala will say, Nuru ala nur, yahdihi Allahu li nurihi man yasha'u. Allah Ta'ala was going to say, light upon light. Allah guides to His light whom He wills, brothers. We have to ask Allah Azza wa Jal to guide us to His light, and to be people that walk upon the light, and to people that know what the light is and know what darkness is, and to stay away from it. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي وأستغفر أستغفره له بفور رحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. My dear brothers, it's been told to me the story from this non-Muslim lady who happens to be best friends with a Muslim lady. And this Muslim lady is very famous in the city of Mississauga. She owns a printing shop. Probably most of the Arabs, they know this sister. Her friend is a non-Muslim, and every now and then when the sister has to travel, this non-Muslim comes to her store and works with her, or works for her. And the non-Muslim lady told me the story. And I heard this with my own ears, and I seen it with my own eyes, where she said that there was a power outage. Now this is maybe about 5-6 years ago. There was a power outage in this particular area in Mississauga. This is in the Cothra area. Okay, Cothra and the Dixie area there. The whole power outage knocked down the whole grid. It was out. And while she was there, she realized none of the computers worked, none of the lights worked, But the Muslim sister, she had an illuminated sign that said Allah on it. And it was plugged into the wall. You can go and verify the story with the sister there. All the lights, all the grids were out. There's no possibility, ya ikhwan, that the electricity was going through that sign, ya ikhwan. But the lady said to me that she's seen with her own eye that the Allah was illuminated with light, ya ikhwan. Believe it or not. Anybody want to verify my story, you can go down to that print shop. Ya ikhwan. I asked the lady after she told me this, is this not a sign for you? How do you explain this? And she's what we like to call a Muslim sympathizer. She likes the Muslims, ya ikhwan. But how can you look at that sign, that mu'jiza, ya ikhwan? How can you look at that miracle and not believe after that? I asked her. And she said, I don't even know what faith is, ya ikhwan. Now, the thing of it is we may be hanging around some good people that remind us of Allah a little bit. But what if most of our friends, ya ikhwan, they're no good and they're calling us to darkness, ya ikhwan? We have to be very careful who we take as our friends. So my dear brothers, there are the spiritually dead. Ignorance is bliss, as they say. Some people, they don't have a clue. Some people, they don't know that they don't know that they don't even need to know. They're totally clueless. And as they say in my own culture, that they don't even have a hope in hell, ya ikhwan, because they're so lost. And Allah, He guides the people, ya ikhwan, with His iman. So we find Allah Ta'ala goes on to say, كَمَنْ مَثَلَهُ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ لَيْسَ بِخَارِجٍ مِنْهَا. Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Al-An'am, like him who is in darkness, from which he can never come out. Some people, ya ikhwan, they'll never come out of the darkness because they don't want hidayah. They love the evil that they live in, ya ikhwan. Their hearts have become so hardened with sin and transgression, my brothers. They love the darkness that they're living in. Ya ikhwan, if you hate the darkness, ask Allah to take you out of it. The Shaykh goes on to say, as for darkness of kufr, then know that iman is the light with which people are guided, illuminating their hearts and their faces, and it's opposite to kufr, ya ikhwan. We have to hate mu'asi, kufr, and being ignorant, ya ikhwan. And the last ayah, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to try to remind the brothers, أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ. Allah Ta'ala goes on to say, he asks the question, is he who was dead without faith by ignorance, and we gave him life by knowledge and faith, and set for him a light of belief where he can walk amongst men. Now for me and my brother right here that's sitting here, we were in that darkness, ya ikhwan. And we can't tell you, brothers, the greatest thing that we ever had given to us as a gift is iman, ya ikhwan. It's very precious. Me and the brother were like this, and we talk about, ya ikhwan, so many things. And Allah sent him as a blessing for me to remind me when I fall down, my brother pulls me up. When he falls down, I pull him up. We remind each other of Allah, ya ikhwan. We need to have a sahib. We need to have a khalili. We need to have a rafiqi. Someone that when we fall down, they can pull us back up. If you don't have friends like that around you, ya ikhwan, to tell you, akhi, wake up. Wake up. Istayqin if you're not, and wake up. And remember that the light, ya ikhwan, we need to continue walking to it. And as for our brothers who came for Jummah today, mashallah, this is a great start. This is one of the masjid that illuminates, ya ikhwan, in the region of Ontario. As if you look around, you see brothers from every ethnicity. It's not dominated by one group of people. This is a sign that the brothers here, inshallah ta'ala, that they love brotherhood. Some masjids, it seems as though they don't want brotherhood. I've witnessed and I felt it, and same as my brother, we went to other masjids that are dominated by one ethnicity, and we never felt that we were brothers amongst the brothers. This is from darkness, brothers. So we ask the brothers to support this masjid and support the people with that mindset of moving towards the light, not towards the darkness, ya ikhwan. And if we do that, then inshallah ta'ala we'll be successful. May Allah save us from being from amongst those people that promote darkness, and we promote being in the state of illumination. We ask Allah to take us out of any darknesses through our hearing, through our sight, through anything around us, and to make us from amongst those people that are guided to the light. We can stay right and stay bright, dynamite, out of sight. Inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'm gonna let my brother lead the salat, inshallah, as he's better than that, inshallah.